Do you find that having all this time to think about music, but then only really actually putting pen to paper, as it were, on the weekends helps you refine ideas or get you more clear in your head about certain goals around music?
Yeah, I think so. Um, one thing I like to do is um, one thing I like to do is when I'm working on some music, I will render a demo version, and then when I'm not in the studio, I might be taking a break, I might be walking the dog, I might listen to that, and just being away from the studio and having a different mindset, but then hearing the thing that you've been working on, sometimes gives me ideas. Like, do you know what I feel in this section? It needs some melodic interest here, or the kick drum is too dB, too loud, is a specific one, and all of this kind of stuff. And very often I will write that down. If my head is getting crowded out with too many of those thoughts, I just write them down so I can release that. And then when I do have the time and the energy to work on music, I'll be like, oh yeah, I had all those ideas, and I look at my bullet points on my notes, and I can I'd load up my session and be like, right, the first thing, I usually pick the easiest thing to do. If it's, that something needs to go up or down by a dB, that's the easiest thing to do. I usually get those, listen to it. Does it sound right? Yeah, cool. And then I try and move on to some of the more tricky ones. Oh, I need to write a new melody. That's when I need to like proper be in the zone to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that helps.
And this goes back to you alluded to your iterative process that you're going back and iterating a whole lot on
Mm.
tracks. And I suppose taking this time during the week to listen, or even if it's on the weekend, let's forget about days, going through this process that you just described of the story so far, what needs to change, making notes, changing, the story so far, what needs to change, making notes, changing. It's a very
Yeah.
interesting way of working.
Yeah. Well, that's what comes naturally to me. And I if that sounds very interesting, I would like to know what other musicians are doing, to be honest, because I didn't think that would be too unusual the way I work.
I don't know that it's unusual. I think what renders it interesting for me is that it's happening during the week and you're having this mental, it's like this distillation that's happening where the things like percolating in your head and you're really walking through every facet of it mentally and then going and making the change. Whereas I think the tendency, especially within myself, is like if I don't have like a day job per se. I mean, I teach music and I'm writing books and all this sort of stuff, but like if I get an idea for a mix and I have a minute, it's like, well, I'm on the computer, just fire up Logic and I can make that change, but I'm not forced to go through the same period of sort of abstinence from the computer that you are by virtue of the fact you're working a day job. And then the really interesting product of that is you get really clear about your ideas.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I do really feel like that time away allows an image to form in my mind, and allows me to make judgments in a slightly more objective way, where I'm always coming at it fresh every time I fire up that song and listen to it on a different day. I might get a different idea, and then sometimes when I do get back to the studio, I disregard what I thought previously. Sometimes I do take it in a different way, so I'm never always purposeful and with an objective in mind. I do sometimes allow myself just the opportunity to mess around and figure things out as I go. But yeah, very often, and it tends to be towards that refining process in the track. I kind of feel like when I start a new track, it's about, oh, I've got a kind of idea, and then things just naturally happen, and then suddenly I've got some really exciting music, or at least music that's exciting to me. And once there's a kind of song structure and things are getting nailed down, there then comes this process of refining, and it's during that refining phase that I'm more keeping notes and coming back to it on different days. And that's why some pieces of music just take me months to work on. And it's not necessarily that I'm spending many, many hours working on the music. It's just that I'll have several projects on the go, and I just come back to them every now and then as my mood dictates.